Hello, my name is Mani Malang.
Hello, my name is Aaron Massey. And today we're going to be talking about teamwork, cooperation, and what makes a great team, a great leader, and even in the core skills that are required to play these team sports in order required for people to be able to be successful in their daily lives, even after high school, college, even NFL.
There's plenty of ideas and ways you can become a. There's plenty of core values you can have, and well, we kind of narrowed it down to a couple.
To a few,
Yeah, and one of them is strive for excellence.
I think striving for excellence is very important with the team because when the team is together and you have one guy that does not strive for excellence, it lowers the team's ability to be the best it can be. If you don't have a team that cooperates with each other, which I think is another core value I'm going to write down, cooperation. Without cooperation, there's not going to be a very strong team. You have to work together. You have to be able to cooperate as a team. And what do you think is another core value?
Another core value that I think is recognizing other people's potential, and by that I mean like trying to have you gotta have respect for your opponent, but as well like you don't want them to take your spot. So I think recognizing other teams another person's potential is one core value that because not only on the field but off the field you don't want anyone else taking your job, but you also like kind of respect them in a way kind of.
Yeah, you got to be able to appreciate your team. You got to be able to find the strength and weaknesses. And I think that's important to be a leader as well as recognizing which part of your team is important, which part of your team, I mean, everything's important, but which part of I should say, your teammate is their core strong value and what's their weakness. Everyone has a weakness, everyone has strengths. And I think that's the biggest part of recognizing your teammate. What else do you think?
I think lastly is don't take it too seriously. Like there's always a time and place for having fun, but there's always a time and place for to be serious, and I think that's the most important core value that you should have not only on the field but in life. Like, don't take life too serious. Life is already hard, so there's always time to have fun and always time to take it serious.
Yeah, and when it comes to working, like he was talking about, people talk about the daily grind of the 9 to 5. And I don't think that's true if you truly enjoy your job. If you don't enjoy who you work with and you don't enjoy how your day is going, I mean, you can have a little bit of fun. It could be from just playing a game on your phone or talking to a loved one. It's about enjoying your work. And if you don't enjoy your work, it's going to be that grind, whether you work 9 to 5 or you work 3 hours a day. That's my opinion. And continuing off of these core values, I think the biggest step afterwards is being able to talk to your teammates and being able to understand what makes a good teammate.
So that's the next question. What makes a good teammate? And I think first would be trustworthy, being trustworthy.
And we're going to make a triangle out of this. And what we find to be the most important is definitely being trustworthy. And these are just basic skills that I think they teach them in the character counts in kids school, grade school. You have kids who aren't trustworthy, and then you have the 6 pillars of character: respectful, trustworthiness, caring. That's just to name a few. And that's an important part of a teammate is being trustworthy.
Everyone's gonna have different levels, but we believe to be trustworthy. Because we don't want to play with another person that we can't trust. And one of our mottos for football is "count on me." And if I don't trust you, then really I can't really count on you, to say the least. What would your next one be?
I would have to say that when you're looking for a teammate, you're looking for someone who plays with you, not plays for themselves. There's certain sports like track where you play for yourself. For example, football. Everyone on the team has to be in the same mindset.
Yeah, we all have to strive for the same thing.
You gotta be willing to take it. The task at hand should be the one that everyone wants to achieve, whether it's winning the game, whether it's making that touchdown, or if it's just making the first down.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be fair to say would be one of the top core values. And
a lot of people nowadays, they always try to, you know, like they say, I'm gonna get mine and stuff. But really, it's a team sport. If you don't want to be a team player, then don't join a team sport. That's
It's simple as that. On our lower level of what we think it makes a good teammate is, I think they should be responsible for themselves. In college football, we see it a lot. We see the guys who work hard in the gym, and we see the guys who don't work hard in the gym. And I think it reflects on the team as a whole when you look at the end of the day, who works hard and who doesn't work hard. That's why at Eastern Mexican University, I know we have dog days, which brings the team together in separate groups, but it brings everyone towards a giant goal of being the top. And I think that's important. So I think self-strive is what we should call it, would be the most important word for it. If you strive for yourself, and it'll reflect on your team. If you have guys that work 3 hours a day just to be a better football player, and everyone does that, you're going to be a better team as a whole.
Yeah. And with that being said, our next one will be developing leaders. There's a saying that there shouldn't be too much chief, not enough Indians, but I believe that every Indian one day is going to be a chief. And that's the whole, when playing a team sport, you're going to have to strive to become leaders, and that's going to help you in life, try to develop, try to be a leader in life.
And I think that's important too, is that when you get done with these sports, whether you go on to the NFL level or you go on to, let's say, even NBA, you can go off to play, or not play, I should say, you should go and participate in the Olympics. You're always going to start out at the bottom anywhere you are, and you should work your way to the top. And that's developing leaders. There's always going to be someone above you, but you should learn from them. And the person above you shouldn't discourage you from being a leader. Being a leader is probably very important in our society nowadays.
Yep.
And I think on our lower level here, I think what the biggest part of a team, or what a teammate would be to me, is not one of the biggest, but one of the biggest in this area, is having someone who is willing to get the job done. And that's not, I wouldn't say that it falls in the category of self-strive, but it falls under the category of wanting to get the job done at the end of the day. Not just halfway do it, but to get the job completely done. I'm going to say this is accountability. And it does relate back up here to being trustworthy and cooperation, but you got to be accountable. You don't want someone showing up 10 minutes, 15 minutes late to practice and not wanting to actually participate in that practice, even if they are late. You got to, like I said, count on me is the biggest thing. Is you got to be able to say count on me. And in the real world, you're not going to have someone who's going to accept late assignments. You're not going to have someone who accepts tardiness. Where I work, if you are late 3 times, you get written up. And after being written up 3 times, you're out of there. It's baseball. 3 strikes and you're out. Yep. And what would you say is the next on that lower level?
I think patience is one of the most important stuff too, because when you're working towards a goal, you gotta be patient. You can't just really rush towards your big goal, but you gotta be patient. Take small steps. Conquer the small steps first in order to conquer the big stuff.
Okay, and this lower level we're not too concerned about, so we're just going to mark this out. But we are going to focus on one of these bigger points, is developing leaders. When you have teammates, it reflects in the real world, because when you come together as a team, you get more work done. But someone has to be able to lead that team. They have to be able to lead them to victory, even if it's in the workplace. Teammates have to come together and use all these skills to be a successful worker. But if you want to be the true leader, you have to be able to incorporate all these plus some. Yeah. You have to be able to do what the extra point is. And that's what we're going to be talking about next, is being a leader.
Yeah. So becoming a leader, I believe that you don't really have to have expertise on the skill or have a keen understanding of it, it's a bonus, it's a good part, but I think in developing a leader, you should have interpersonal experience, being motivation and being able to motivate others. What do you think?
What makes a good leader to me is someone who, let's make a drawing here. If you have someone on a box here, and you have someone who sits right here, we're just going to use stick figures today because I'm not the best drawer in the world. and the team is trying to pull, we'll just say these little hash marks of the team, and you're having to pull the weight of the leader, I consider that being a boss.
Yeah.
They're having to pull the weight of that person. Instead, I think of a leader as someone who is not on the box, and he's not weighing them down. He's not up there. He's over here working with the team. And your leader, the stick person right here, he's in the front, showing the way it should be done, the way that is appropriate to be done.
He's being accountable. He's being respectful for his other teammates. You can count on him for sure. That's what I see.
And I think in our world we have too many CEOs and we don't have enough leaders. CEOs are people who they pave the way financially, in my opinion, but they don't actually show up and say, hey, you know what? Today we need to really work on getting those. Let's just say, for example, getting the paperwork out done for the day. As an engineer, you don't have your stuff done, but you know what? I'm going to sit down here and help you all because there's obviously leadership problems on my end, or it's just not being done. It has to be a two-way. It's a two-way street. You can't ask someone to do something if you're not willing to do it, and that's one of the biggest things of being a leader is being able to say, I can do it, so can you, and I'm not going to ask something of you that I cannot do.
So basically, the point of what we're trying to say, if you want to be on a team that has a good sportsmanship, then you might as well be one too, in order to show others, or try to be, or if you're a leader in it, you want to show a good team spirit, so others can follow you.
And the way it relates back to being in the real world, I remember one of my coaches. He was selecting leaders in high school football, and I know high school football isn't anything like college football, but what he looked for was someone that was accountable and someone that was going to be there. But he also had to think about who is actually going to stand up and say this is wrong when something is wrong. And I think that's what it takes, is you have to have people who are willing to stand up for everyone else. That's a leader. And what's right and what's wrong. And the way it applies to the real world is that if you have someone who is, like let's say this boss right here, and something's wrong, chances are he's not going to be very, how should I say it? He's not going to be there. He's not going to say, hey, you know what? We need to pull this farther. This guy right here, he's going to say, let's go the extra mile. And that's what it's going to take, is you have to go the extra mile. And I think that's pretty much how we see this, is that being a leader from college and even high school sports, it translates much in the real world. You have to be able to lead a team, not boss around a team. Yeah. And I think that's how we view all of this, all the leaders, the teammates, and the skills required to be a great teammate. So what do you think about being a boss in today's society, or even a leader? Do you think we have too many leaders or too many bosses?
Yeah, I think there's too many bosses and not enough leaders that's trying to take place and stuff.
There's too many guys on this box right here, and there's not enough guys over here. When you look at the entire spectrum of the workforce, you see a lot of guys that are right here. And what strives them to be right there, I would say, is more influenced by this and not wanting to be in the front. They want to be able to sit back, make their money, and not have to lead people. They want to just say, hey, I need this done, I need it done now. And I think that's fair to say, don't you?
Yeah, you can tell this person loves his job because he'll work towards his goal and stuff instead of sitting back and making money.
And the goal right here is not, he may be making more money than this guy, you never know. But his goal right here is to make sure his team does well. That this picture right here is good. It goes up. That's what he's looking for. This guy right here is only concerned about the dollar amount right here. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make that dollar amount. This guy right here, he doesn't care if he gets fired. He's just going to get rid of him. And he's just going to keep dragging. And it forces these guys to work harder. And I think that's fair to say in our society that when it comes down to people wanting to be leaders instead of bosses, it shows a statement, in all honesty, that this guy right here isn't as valued as this guy. And that's, I guess you could say, valued by pay amount, but he's not, they don't ask you to be this guy. They don't ask you to be the guy that leads. They ask you to be the guy that wants to be on top. They ask you to be the guy that wants to be number one. CEOs, presidents of companies, stock market brokers. It all depends. I mean, it's not about leading anymore, it's about being on top. And with that, I have to say that these core values have progressed. So when you have someone who is here on the bottom, that's a bad triangle. But when you have someone right here, this is where your core values are incorporated, is right here. Right here is where you become a true teammate once you've mastered those core values. That's when you become the great teammate that everyone wants. This is where you're a teammate. And this is where you have progressed from being I shouldn't say selfish person, but you are focused on what is going to benefit you most. When you're right here and you're developing these core values, once you've mastered those, you can move on up to the ladder of leadership. And that's what we're talking about in the core values, is that everyone has to have a little bit of leader in them and say what's right and what's wrong. And this is a great example right here, is that the guy at the leadership, there's not going to be that many of them. But you should encourage everyone to be a leader.
And it's important to take these steps. No one ever takes a leadership role without having taken these steps. Because I'm not gonna respect someone that has no kind of.
They have no core value. They have no morals about them. If you're showing up late to practice, or you're showing up late to work,
and you lost the trust of your team.
I'm not going to feel like I'm obligated to show up early to practice, or show up even on time to practice. So I'm not going to work as hard. So if this right here isn't good, the entire team falls, I should say. Because this right here is the entire team. And I think everyone has to have the base core values of what makes a great team. You gotta have your teammates that have mastered these, and then from that you have to have leadership. And you're gonna see that in anything. Look at Peyton Manning. He's a leader. He will go out on the field and he'll throw the football like he needs to. And he's going to guide his team to victory, whether it is offense or he even motivates his defensive side of the team. So that's what we feel is strongly encouraged, or should be strongly encouraged in sports, is having the core values, becoming a true teammate, and then becoming leadership within that team. Do you have any other comments?
Well, lastly, with you being a leadership, you gotta care for your teammates, your colleagues, you know, because they have life outside of the work, outside of their sport. So it doesn't hurt to always ask them, like, care for them and stuff.
Yeah, it never hurts. That's one of the character counts, is caring. And I think that's what will help companies understand that you're not just a number on the paper, and you're not just a check in the book, but you're an actual person. You work for these companies. And within saying that, we're going to close. It was nice presenting to y'all. If you have any questions, I'll leave my email in the bottom link. And again, my name's Aaron Massey.
And my name's Alain.
And we appreciate y'all watching.